Jam Session is a podcast where two guys who grew up in Dallas-Fort Worth discuss sports, craft beer, life, and their experiences living in one of America's most vibrant cities. If you love sports, you're going to love this show. If you love craft beer or you're curious about it, you'll love this show. Great conversations with good friends is what Jam Session is all about.
Welcome. It's nice to have you here. I hope you enjoy it. I think you will.
You're listening to the Jam Session Podcast.
I was told that I could listen to the radio at a reasonable volume.
With Cowboys insider...
What's your name?
Jean-Jacques Taylor.
That's my name.
Radio personality and craft beer expert, Matt McLaren.
He's a very strange young man.
He's an idiot. Comes from upbringing.
And now, the Jam Session Podcast. It is indeed Jam Session. Subscribe, rate, and review, and hang out with us for a while. Right here on the Jam Session Podcast. The moment we've all been waiting for has arrived. Ladies and gentlemen, the radio, TV, and now podcast star, the sexy Jean-Jacques Taylor.
What up, dog?
I would be the non-sexy one, Matt McLaren. And this is Jam Session, the podcast, version 55, asking simply that you prepare to be dazzled.
If not entertained.
And let me ask you, who dazzles you more often than when you are perusing the website for Blue Star Motor Group? And there will be items on there where you just kind of, I've told you guys this, just go and look. Just go and spend, 5 minutes on their website, and you will see deals on there for superior quality, Carfax certified, pre-owned vehicles of all makes and models at Blue Star Motor Group. And you'll kind of sit there, because I've done this before, where I've looked at the car and I was like, that can't possibly be the right price. And you almost want to just call Deb just for that. So you pick up your phone and you dial 817-881-4066 because Deb and her husband are the owners of Blue Star Motor Group. And you want to call them like, hey, Deb, I did it. I was the guy who found you. There's a glitch on your website. There's no way this car is that affordable. And she'll just laugh and she goes, it is. It's exactly what it is on the website. And you go, oh, my God. And then you go and you talk to whoever you need to try to figure out how you're going to get this car.
Well, yeah. And the beauty of Blue Star Motor Group is they own Blue Star Motor Group. So there's no middleman. There's no salesman you got to go through. There's no finance department you got to deal with. Whatever you need, whatever you want, whatever you got to ask questions about, hey, there they are right there at your beck and call.
Yeah. And again, like you said, I like when you do that because we actually had a listener who emailed about something and he was like, I don't know, I couldn't find what I was looking for really on the website. So he called Deb and they were able to help him. So that's one of those things when you're dealing directly with those people, a local family-owned business like Blue Star Motor Group, they can help you in a variety of ways if you're looking for a vehicle, looking to sell. So either give Deb a call, 817-881-4066, or like we said, check out the website, bluestarmotorgroup.com. Something happened in the last couple of days, because I got to be honest with you. I figured, okay, we did a complete Super Bowl show that dropped a couple of days ago right after the Super Bowl. And I figured a couple of days later, there's probably still some thoughts about the Super Bowl. Maybe we'll get into who knows what that comes out of that. I should have known. I should have known that somehow, some way, the Dallas Cowboys would do something to steal the spotlight, at least locally. And since we're in Dallas-Fort Worth and we love the local vibe, I thought I raised an eyebrow at this. And that, of course, is a hype video that the Cowboys put out for the 2021 season. And they had a variety of old school players and plays and new school guys that are on the team. And it was a cool hype video. Till you get to the end and you go, wait a second. Why didn't they put Dak in that video?
Dude, when I saw it, and I was really just looking at it to look at it, not to be critical of it by any stretch. I was just like, oh, okay, let's see what the video's like. And I got to tell you, man, I looked at it, and the first thought in my mind is, you don't have Dak in there, man?
Yeah.
I mean, I realize he's technically a free agent, but you expect to have him back. And I was just like, matter of fact, as soon as I saw it, I tweeted out, all these slights, real or perceived, it doesn't really matter. They don't help you get the job done. Now, let me tell you this, Matt, because this is how these things work. I promise you, this is how these things work. Is this a big deal? Nah, not really. Did Dak even notice it? Check this out, Matt. Follow me here. I would bet you $100 Dak didn't even notice it. Okay, Dak didn't notice it, didn't think about it, didn't even see it. I would also bet you another $100, Matt. I bet his brother saw it.
I bet he did, man. That dude.
And I bet his brother sent it to him. And I bet his brother said, "Look at this shit, bro. Just look at it. They don't respect you, man." I bet you $100 his brother did that.
I don't know why, but it feels like Tad really wants Dak to just not be in Dallas.
I think he wants his brother to be shown the proper respect that, check this out, Matt, every other NFL quarterback of his caliber has been shown. And here's what I'm talking about,
and that's
Matt.
fair. That's fair.
Name me another quarterback of his caliber. For argument's sake, let's say a top 14 quarterback, top half of the league quarterback whose contract is up. Name me another one, Matt, who's had to fight for his money like Dak.
I can't think of one because guys like Goff and Wentz got it without hesitation, and their teams, one already got rid of him, and the other one's trying to get rid of him.
Dude.
And they had no problem getting their money.
No. So I've heard through various channels that the Cowboys were initially upset because Calvin Watkins, the Morning News, actually wrote about it. He was like, "This is dumb." I'm paraphrasing here. He's like, "This is dumb. How could you slight Dak like this? Blah, 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 blah." And apparently the Cowboys reached out to him and ultimately said, "Hey, it was an oversight on our part. It was a mistake. There was no maliciousness there." Now, contrast that with, they also put on Twitter, because a lot of people noticed this, man. They put out on Twitter, one of the guys who works in the department put out on Twitter the night of the Super Bowl, like, basically, I'm paraphrasing again. Basically, get off our back. Dak's not under contract. We have to, the show must go on. We got to put these promos out, and we don't know if he's back or not. And at one level, you understand what he's saying. At another level, check this out, Matt. If you put him in there, does anybody say anything?
No, not at all.
Nobody says a single solitary word.
No, because it's just automatically believed that Dak is going to be here, and that really made it seem like, wait, do they know something?
Exactly.
That's what I thought. So
your omission made it the reason we're talking about it today is because you left him out.
Yes.
If you put him in, we'd never be talking about it.
Which, to their point, kind of genius. I'll be honest with you. I never would have watched the video if Dak was in there. I wouldn't have known it existed. But I'm not kidding you. The only reason I watched it was because I saw Calvin's article about it, and then I saw you tweet something. I was like, wait, what? So I went and watched it, and I was like, wow, sure enough, Dak's not in this. And I'll tell you right now, if Dak was in it, and I never would have watched, like, what do I care about a 2021 hype video? What are we hyped about?
Yeah.
And no matter, you can't show me anything that's going to get me hyped. You know what you can show me? A Super Bowl trophy at the end of the year. I'll get hyped about that.
So that to me is something. It's a little disappointing from this perspective. The Cowboys have a really, really, really good department that handles all their hype videos, all their content.
Yeah.
Their content on the web is probably the best in the NFL, and I'm not just saying that. It's probably the best in the NFL because the Cowboys allow their reporters more than probably any other franchise to say the truth about the team. They're not like puffed up press releases. If they play bad, Nick Eatman or somebody over there will probably say they played bad and this guy played bad.
Yeah.
And you don't really get to do that at most team sites. You got to come up with excuses and act like your fan base is dumb. So they're a really good department. They just messed up this particular thing. They didn't have enough stuff in place to make sure something like this happened. And then we're talking about this, and then you tell me that Charlotte's son votes on a poll that says, what was it again?
It was some Instagram poll. And again, Jerry Jones' grandson votes on this thing where it basically was asking, should the Cowboys keep Dak or let Dak go? And he votes, let Dak go. Which, look, in the grand scheme of everything, even if I'm Dak, I got to be honest with you. If I'm Dak and I see that hype video, I'm sitting there going, okay, well, what are they trying to say? If I'm Dak and I see, well, Jerry Jones' grandson voted on some silly Instagram poll. Now, again, I'm much older than Dak, so maybe his age group, they go, wow, really, dude? On an Instagram poll, you can't give me some love? But I wouldn't think anything of it. It's just obtuse And another one of those signs that the Cowboys just don't seem to get this.
Dude, I'm going to take it a step further. We could easily call it obtuse. I'm just going to call it kind of like arrogance. Like, again.
That's a good way of putting it.
What are we talking about here? We're talking about a guy who is recognized now throughout the league as the top 10 quarterback. Whether you think he's number 6 or whether you think he's number 10, whether you think he's number 3, whether you think he's number 8, it doesn't really matter. The people who know, who studied these things, the general managers in the league, they all think he's a top 10 quarterback. Okay, normally I wouldn't say it like this, but I'm just going to say it like Matt would say it. Why are you fucking with the quarterback? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Just, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Because, now Matt really would say this. Whoever you draft, if or whoever you acquire, what are you hoping they become? A quarterback like that?
Yes, I say that all the time. Literally.
So you've got him. So why are you trying so hard to diss him, disrespect him, belittle him, make it seem like it's no big deal? And here's the key, Matt. It's like any other relationship, Matt. Any other relationship. It doesn't matter that Jerry and Steven come out all the time. Oh, we love Dak. We love Dak. We think Dak is great. Dak's our leader. Dak. It's like any other relationship. I'm judging you on your actions, baby. I mean, you keep telling me you changing, baby, but every day I come home, it's the same old poop. Yeah. So your actions say one thing, your words say another. And I'm just going to tell you this, man. It's going to be some sad singing and some slow walking if he has to play under the tag this year. Because if he plays under the tag this year, that means he's gone.
Yeah, it does.
Because that's what it means.
Because he will be then a free agent at the end of the year.
And he's not signing.
No, because at that point, it's so worth it to see what you're going to command on the open market that I think will blow the Cowboys' minds. I think they will be absolutely blown away at the amount of money that Dak's going to get. And at that point, if I'm Dak, I tried to tell you guys, you could have had me for $5 million a year less than what these teams are willing to pay me, maybe even more. And you guys decided not to do it. Have a good life.
Right. And that brings up another topic related to Dak that's been bugging me, man. Matter of fact, I'm going to write something in the Dallas Morning News for it, on it today, which is this. You know, Carson Palmer is not the only person to say this, but it just popped up again. Hey, Dak should take less because he plays quarterback for the Cowboys. You know who else thinks that, man? Jerry and Steven.
Yep.
And I continue to say that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You don't hear in the NBA fans and teams and players going, hey, Kevin Durant should take less because he got a $300 million Nike deal. Oh, James Harden should take less because he's got a $500 million Adidas deal. LeBron should take less because he owns $1 million worth of Blaze Pizza. I mean, what one has zero to do with the other. Zero. Now I'm gonna get to I'm gonna go deep on you with this, Matt. Why does Dak have to be the grateful brother? Why does he have to be the grateful Negro? Why does he have to be grateful that he's playing for the Cowboys and a chance to do this? Do you see any other quarterback taking less? Any other quarterback taking less? And don't tell me Tom Brady because he's married to a supermodel. He don't count. Any quarterback taking less. And
the only one that anybody will ever point to that anybody has ever pointed to is Tom Brady.
Okay.
That's the only one. Right. Because, and you know why?
Dude.
Because he's the only one you can point to, which is why everybody, well, Tom Brady did it.
Right. Dude, Derek Carr did not take less. Derek Carr at one point was like the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League.
Wait a second. Maybe Kirk Cousins? Huh? You guys realize Kirk Cousins just got a 2-year guaranteed deal at $33 million a year? Is that taking less for Kirk Cousins?
Dude.
I don't think Kirk Cousins is like the 8th highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. And so this whole thing about take less and be happy to be the Cowboys quarterback is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, I agree with you, man.
That's what it is.
And the thing of it is take less than what? Because he's going to take less than Patrick Mahomes. So,
dude,
outside of that, who are we taking less than?
Somebody hit me on Twitter the other day when I said, name me a quarterback who's taking less. And he said, Pat Mahomes. I said, what are you talking about? Pat Mahomes is making $45 million a year and signed a $450 million deal. What are you talking about? He taking less. And this guy said, and I'm paraphrasing, well, in 3 years, $45 million would be a bargain. And I was like, I'm trying to be respectful, but you may be one of the dumbest people I've ever heard. Because just take that same logic you're saying and transfer it to your quarterback on the team that you root for. And whatever you pay him in 2 or 3 years, it'll be what, Matt? A bargain. Mm-hmm. Or it'll be whatever. Do you think anybody's blinking at Derek Carr's $25 million a year right now?
No, not at all. I mean, and that's the thing to your point. Okay, so let's say that Dak signs with the Cowboys for $40 million a year, which is $1 million more than Deshaun Watson's getting. 3 years from now, yeah, everybody's going to look at that and be like, oh, wow, there's 4 quarterbacks, 5 quarterbacks, however many in front of them. You know, that's the thing is that people say, well, Dak's not a top 3 quarterback. So what? What difference does that make? And we've done this exercise a million times, and for whatever reason, it's like Dak is the crawl that gets stuck in people's brains where we can go through the list and everybody just goes, oh, yeah, okay. Where we go, to your point, Jacques, you were just talking about it. Derek Carr at one point was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Kirk Cousins was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Matt Ryan, Matt Stafford, so on and so forth. As you went through you know why? Because they were the next guy up. And as the next guy's up, they go, hey, man, these guys got paid. Time to pay me because I'm in that realm of that neighborhood, or I'm way like Kirk. I don't even, what street does Kirk Cousins live on? Dude, I'm like up the hill, man. Like, pay me. And people, for whatever reason, when we do this, they're like, well, yeah, okay, sure, right. And then you get to Dak. Whoa, what? Huh? What do you mean? But everybody else has done it. I don't understand how people don't understand how this works. It's simple. It's Dak's time. The neighborhood the Cowboys want to live in, the homes cost this much.
I say it every time, bro. I say it every single time. If you want to live on Swiss Avenue, brother, it costs a certain amount of money. How about this, Matt? If you want to live in one of those downtown condos like at the Katy or whatever, it costs a certain amount of money, Matt. If you want to buy a house in Highland Park, South Lake, it costs a certain amount of money. If you want to live there. Now, if you don't worry about it.
Right. And see, and then that's the other thing that everybody will bring up is the whole, well, you're not going to be able to build a team around them. I don't want to have to pay to what I'd like to do is live in another area, and then we can spend some money fixing up the home and flip it and do it.
Yeah.
Well, you know what?
That's cool, too.
Right.
That's what you want to do.
Right now, and again, I know it was only a handful of games, but if anybody out there believes that the Cowboys have enough to take a quarterback like a Kirk Cousins or whoever it is that's out there, and what are you going to do, trade for Sam Darnold? I mean, what are we talking about? Again, because whoever you're trying to bring in, you're hoping, and this is the hope of everybody, what they are hoping is that you can get the quarterback for $25, $28, $30 million that plays like Dak, who's going to get 37, 40, whatever it is. That's what you're hoping for. You're hoping that you get that, oh my God, I went to a garage sale and they have an unopened original Luke Skywalker from the 1977 Star Wars. Can you believe this? Yeah. But guess what? How many garage sales do you go to? You're like, I just spent 3 hours shopping around, didn't really find anything. That's what people want to do because they're convinced that whoever it is that's cheaper, well, he'll be good enough, and then you can put stuff around him. But keep in mind, right now, what stuff is around on this team without Dak Prescott? Because we saw it last year that you think it's going to be magically great.
Yeah, brother, and it wasn't that great.
Y'all are crazy,
it wasn't that
man.
Magical.
I say pay the dude and let's run because that guy has shown he's got the pieces when he's healthy with this offense, even without his starting tackles. This dude can make the offense do something. Well, then they don't have any money for defense, man. You guys obviously have never seen how the cap works. And that's another thing is people just don't get it. They don't understand how you can restructure and do all these things. That there's somebody out there that you really want, that you think is going to help. And the Cowboys have done this. They did it when they brought in Quinn. They did it when they brought in Griffin, Alden Smith, whatever, man. There are guys out there. If there's a dude you've identified that you actually really want, they can go and get that guy. So we shall move on.
Yeah, man.
Man, you talk about, I mean, Jacques and I are recording this fairly early in the morning, and you guys already got us fired up. I'm going to have a great day now. I got my energy going.
It's just ridiculous, man.
I know. I feel like it's a little early. Now, I don't know when you guys are listening to this, but at some point, if you feel like, hey, man, long day, I need to relax, why don't you swing out to Rockwall? Hit up Beer Geek Shop. Tell Deidre, I got to tell you, Jacques and Mac got me fired up. I need something to relax. And she will go, how about that Jam Session 6-pack? 6 beers, $16.99, available only at Beer Geek Shop in downtown Rockwall. We've been telling you about these guys forever. Jason and Deidre, local family-owned place. I actually had a couple of people who have already swung by and grabbed it. It's a great deal, and you will find when you get there, like one guy goes, man, I can't believe this beer was in it. It was awesome. It's a surprise. We did tell you what was in it at one point. There's pictures on our website, but if you aren't following along on Jam Session Cast on Instagram, then you need to go check it out, because the beers that we both selected to put in this thing are really, really good beers, and the fact you can get all 6 for under $17 is mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's a wide variety, which is what I like. You know, I mean, it's just a bunch of different beers. There's even a brown ale in there. There's a couple stouts. There's some of Matt's dankness in there with the yellow rose, I think it is. Mm-hmm. So there's a bunch of beers in there, and if you're just getting into craft beer, it's a great sampler because everything's a little different. It
is. It really is. It's at Beer Geek Shop in downtown Rockwall, and while you're there, feel free to pick up whatever else it is that you like. I mean, they sponsor Just the Sip. We do 3 different beers every week, once a week on the podcast. We talk about those. All those beers come from Beer Geek Shop. They have over 400 different craft beers from around the world. So just show up. Tell Deidre, Jason, hey, grab me that Jam Session 6-pack. And then they always tell me, I like coffee. Can you help me? She'll be like, I got you. Or whatever it is. They will get you taken care of. Beer Geek Shop, downtown Rockwall, just off the square. I think you're really going to enjoy it over there. Also, of course, make sure when you're there, see, this is what's great about Rockwall. Now, I mean, when I was growing up, it'd be way more difficult to do this. But now, not only can you swing by Beer Geek Shop, but there's 2 Krogers you can hit in Rockwall. So you can pick up, because I know for a fact they both have the wings at Kroger. You can actually swing by and grab those wings while you're in Rockwall at either of the Kroger locations. Now, look, no matter where you live, most North Texas Kroger locations have the wings, mango habanero, buffalo blue cheese. I did see a couple of locations. Somebody tweeted us a picture that have a couple of the different flavors that were out there. I don't know if they were just doing that for the last weekend or what. But I grabbed 3 pounds of the wings, grilled them over the weekend. Jacques throws his in the air fryer. However you like to do it, man. They are fantastic. Meat, flavor, that's it. No breading, delicious.
No, and I've got an extra tip for you. If you put them in the air fryer, or if you are putting them in the stove on broil, throw them in a bowl because they're already seasoned up.
Yeah.
Put just a little baking powder in there, like a teaspoon. Gives them that crispy, crunchy feel, Matt. Delish.
Interesting. So you can do that. So make it happen. Yeah. Again, Beer Geek Shop in downtown Rockwall, and, of course, the wings from Kroger. Wherever you are, you can, of course, grab those at your local Kroger. But let's move on and have a conversation here as we take a trip around the block. Local guys talking about local things, and if you are in the DFW area, you know, there is things about what we're about to talk about that have no appeal to me, and then there's stuff about it that has a lot of appeal to me. And this is, you remember over the last couple of years or so, there has been a feud with the Fletcher family from Fletcher's Corn Dogs, and they finally settled it at the end of 2020, where, so basically what happened was, the guy who created this, Skip Fletcher, died in 2017, which caused a family feud. So his daughter and granddaughter wanted to branch out and start their own thing. And for a while, I think they were doing like pop-ups or whatever and trying to use the family name. And then the family shut it down, said, no, you can't do that. So they finally figured this out, and now they came to an agreement, which nobody really knows what the agreement was, other than you cannot use the Fletcher's name in any way, shape, or form, and you cannot use the story of the family in any way, shape, or form. So It's got to be something that's completely standalone by itself that's not attached to Fletcher whatsoever, if that makes sense. So
I was going to say, I'm still a little confused.
yeah, it's a whole weird, confusing thing. But basically, it's somebody from the Fletcher family that can't say she's from the Fletcher family, can't use her maiden name Fletcher because she's married now, and cannot use the story of Fletcher corn dogs whatsoever in this venture.
Okay, that kind of makes sense.
Okay, so they have opened a store, and here's the name of it. This is the name of their restaurant, Corn Dog with No Name.
I like that.
Corn Dog with No Name. It is opened at Northwest Highway and Preston Road, and this is like...
I like that.
It is.
That's
it's kind of like a, okay, fine, we can't use your name. How about this? Double birds, Corn Dog with No Name.
That's like when Prince went by the symbol.
Right.
For years when he was embroiled in a contract dispute with Warner Brothers.
So this is really interesting because this is the one, and we talked about this, I think, when we had the radio show that they were going to do this. But you talk about the variety that they have. I mean, this is like artisan corn dogs at the elite level. One of the corn dogs is $24 because it is dipped in edible gold.
Okay. Really? Okay, first I'm going to say this. Really?
$24.
I'm going to say, once I tried that, not that corn dog, but I had some wings dipped in gold.
Wow, look at you.
And I got to say, it's a little overrated.
You think?
I mean, it's great for your Instagram photo.
I'm sure it is.
But after that, man, it's a little overrated. A little overrated.
I mean, what does it taste like? It can't possibly taste like anything.
No, it tastes like whatever the flavor is up underneath that.
Yeah, I was going to say, it can't. And that's so it's one of those things where you're like, hey, that'd be kind of cool. Let's put it on Instagram and
cool.
A gold dipped corn dog. Look at me.
And let me check this out, man. When you're on a business account, it's cool. So if we went there and we put it on the Jam Session credit card, it's cool. If we put it on Jacques and Matt's personal credit card, it's not so cool.
Yeah, there's no way I'm ever paying $24 for a corn dog. That's just not happening ever.
$24 for a beer.
Yes, I would.
See what I'm saying?
Well, okay, yeah, all right.
I love the conversation about what people spend their money on.
But it's just not happening. They also have an elk corn dog with elk meat. A turkey corn dog, not too great there. CBD infused corn dogs. And how about this? A corn dog named the Big D, which is a 12-inch long corn dog.
They're having fun over there.
The Big D. Hey, baby, you want the Big D? What is it? It's my 12-inch corn dog. God.
Wow. They should call it the Diggler.
It's kind of right. Now, I will say this because this looks kind of awesome. They have a funnel cake that is called the Bonfire, which is topped with s'mores ingredients and lit on fire tableside.
Wow. It's kind of like a Bananas Foster feel to it, eh?
Yeah, kind of in a way. Yeah, with the funnel cake base and then I guess like graham cracker crumbles and chocolate and marshmallow, and they light the marshmallows on fire and serve it to you right at your table.
Wow.
Yeah, kind of interesting. Oh, and how about this? So the husband and wife that are no longer in the Fletcher family, I guess, are having a baby that's due coming up this summer, and they are going to name their baby, I kid you not, which I've heard this name before, but for them, Cornelia. Because why not? Hey, what's her middle name going to be? Doggy? Cornelia Doggy.
Why? See, this is what I'm talking about, man. See, as the parent, you're having fun. You're thinking, this is cute. This is cool.
Right.
But your kid got to live with that stupid name.
Right. And
your kids got to live with it.
And that's the problem, because knowing what her parents do, nobody will ever call her Cornelia. Everybody ever will call her Corny.
Right. And check this out, Matt. Even if her name is like Cornelia Elizabeth, whatever it is. Right. And she goes by Elizabeth or Liz, and that's what everybody calls her. What's going to happen on the first day of school for the first 17 years of her life?
When they call roll, yeah.
Cornelia! Would you please call me Liz or Elizabeth, please?
And then the kids will go, oh, my God, you're the corny dog person. Corny, corny.
Or you run into that idiot teacher like I had that goes, no, I'm going to call you by the name you're given. Otherwise, I have to call everybody by a different name. So I'll be calling you Cornelia every day.
God, I would just be like, oh, okay, well, I won't respond to that name, so that'll be an interesting way to do things.
Oh, well, I got sent to the office for that in the 9th grade. First day of school, Linda Prather. I'll never forget it. She goes, Gene Taylor? I go, my name is Jacques. It says Gene right here. Well, my name is Jacques. Well, I'm only calling you by what's on your roll. I say, well, then you need to call me Jean. No, it says Gene. Oh, so now you're going to tell me how to say my name? Dude, she said, young man, you can go to the office. I said, that's fine, I'll go. And you know what happened then? I went to the office. I explained it to the principal. He gave me kind of a side-eye look. I said, check this out. Well, I'm sure I didn't say check this out. I said, why don't you call my mother? Here's her work number, and why don't you ask her about the origin of my name? And so he actually did that, and she worked for the school district, and his ear was hot by the time he got off the phone. And the next day, I was Jacques.
God, how awesome is that?
It was.
Man, I mean, seriously, because when I was in 9th grade, I also got sent to the principal's office because early in the year, our algebra teacher got frustrated that we weren't paying attention and said, okay, well, anybody who thinks that they don't need this can raise their hand. And I raised my hand, and she said, oh, you don't think that you're ever going to use this? What do you want to do in life? And I said, well, I want to be an actor. And she goes, well, if you don't think you need this, you're free to leave. So I got up and left. And I got in trouble and had to go to the principal's office. And to this day, part of me still is like, I mean, you are the one in power that told me if I don't think I need it, I'm free to leave. And so I left, and then I get in trouble for doing what you said I could do? That makes no sense.
Nope, none at all, man. But that's how the government works.
Apparently. And of course,
this from Cornelia,
right? I mean, geez, man. It's also like the time, because my middle name is Ryan, and I never, ever use it, ever. And the only time I've ever tried to use it is when I was in college, and I thought, okay, in a couple of my classes, I'm going to say that my name is Ryan McLaren and try to go by Ryan. And so I put that down as my name, and when they would call roll, I could always, I'll never forget the first time it happens, like, oh my God, somebody else in here is named McLaren. And like, fortunately, I knew somebody in that class, and like, they're like, Matt, they're calling your name. They're saying Ryan. And I was like, oh yeah. I was like, yeah, that's me.
Wow.
Yeah. And then that lasted for about 2 weeks before I had to tell the professor, I was like, hey, that's my middle name, and I tried to use it, and I cannot register it, so I go by Matt. And he's like, oh, okay, no big deal.
Now, since we're on this topic, I went and I taught I had my first class at SMU for this semester a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And as I don't go and say roll per se, but I go, hey, Matt McLaren, give me 2 interesting facts about yourself and tell me what you want me to call you. And so we do it like that because everybody's got what they want. Madeline wants to be Maddie. It's whatever, man. And really, dude, why have you got to be such a 7-letter cuss word? Is it so bad to call somebody whatever it is they wish to be called?
Yeah, why do you care what they're wanting to be called?
That's what I'm saying. Like really, what's the big deal?
Difference does it make to you? As long as it's a normal name. It's not something like Fart Daddy or something like that. Even if it is, obviously in a school environment, you'd have to be like, okay, your name is not Fart Daddy.
Right. So, just tell me what you want to call it, buddy, if that's your nickname. I don't care.
Yeah. To me, I would be right there with you if I was a teacher. Like, well, what difference does it make to me? So what? The role says one thing, you like this. Well, okay, cool.
Yeah. Right.
Neat. I could think of a lot of different things to call people. So thank you for pointing me in the direction you have chosen.
And on another level, how much, for real, man, how much stress it causes people when they don't like their name or they really prefer another name and you call them something else?
Yeah, that's true as well.
It's like unnecessary stress. Like, oh, no, feel free. Let me help you out.
For the most part, that's right where you want to be.
Dude, my dad did that. My dad had an estranged relationship with his father for about 3 or 4 years while he was in college, and he was a junior, and so he started going by his middle name because he didn't want to go by his first name because it was his dad's name. So he went around telling everybody, I'm Lewis. That's my name.
That's fair. I remember one time when I was waiting tables. I mean, you always introduce yourself to people, and you could change your name every day if you wanted to. But I told people for a couple of days that my name was Thew, and like Thew. They're like, Thew? Wow, what kind of name is that? I'm like, well, my name's Matthew. I just choose to go by the back half instead of the front half. And people thought it was the weirdest thing. And I'm sitting there going, well, I mean, if you think about it, we always like it's not weird to anybody that I go by Matt. So why would it be weird that I go by Thew? It's the same name. I'm just taking different letters from it. And people could not get that. The look people would give me, Thew. Wow, Thew? I'm like, yeah, Matthew. They're like, huh? Oh, well, okay. Like, wow. Well, why don't you go by Matt? Because I go by Thew.
That kind of makes sense, though.
It does. Like, it makes a lot of sense.
If your name's Elizabeth, a lot of folks go by Liz. Okay,
or Beth.
Or Beth, which is the middle.
Yeah, right. It's the same thing.
End. So, yeah.
There's all people that are named William will go by Bill, and nobody thinks that's weird at all, even though B is nowhere to be found in the name William. But going by Thew, which is literally more than half the letters in Matthew, going by Thew, people are like, oh my God, what is Thew? That was a great social experiment. See, that's back when I wish I had a TikTok or a YouTube where I was filming things, because the stuff I did at that age that I could have put out like content wise, especially waiting tables, my God, I'd get bored and just do all kinds of weird crap every day. But that was a time I had fun with names.
Yeah.
So the other thing I wanted to get into here as we take this quick trip around the block was a story that I came across that I thought was so random, because I always wonder why people do this, especially in this day and age. But South Lake police arrested a man who stole 150 pieces of mail, and when they pulled him over, he I mean, tell me if this does not sound like somebody who would steal mail. They pull him over, he's got an open container of Steel Reserve in his car, and he also has meth shoved into his socks.
Okay.
I mean, not only are you high on meth, but hey, your go-to beverage of choice in the middle of a Monday afternoon is Steel Reserve.
Wow.
And they found that he had 150 pieces of stolen mail from Carrollton, Addison, Colleyville, and Irving.
Irving?
Yeah, and it's weird because I wonder, do you have, I don't know if you have this or not. I rarely ever look at it because it's the craziest shit of all time, but there's an app you can get called Nextdoor, and people in your area, like in your local neighborhood, will jump on Nextdoor and be like, stop letting your cat crap in my yard, or hey, look out for this, or something like that. It's awesome. And it's usually a lot of weird, pointless bullshit stories. But recently, I saw on Nextdoor that somebody was, there's a car going around and he's going up to mailboxes and taking mail. And I was like, I wonder if it was this guy.
Well, yeah, it very well could have been. It's funny you say that, because all of what you just said about Nextdoor is true, which is why I had it for a while.
Yeah.
And the stuff on it was just so dumb to me, I deleted it.
Yeah, it's literally the type of people that are getting on there making comments are the people that go on Yelp and say, loved the restaurant, but I rated it low because I asked for cheddar cheese and they gave me mozzarella.
Yeah. And
you're like, well, why didn't you say, hey, I asked for cheddar? Yeah, I mean, it's like, what are we doing?
Nah, man. So, yeah, I get that. I kept, stealing mail, dude.
I've never understood that. Now, we don't have a mailbox. We have the thing where you have to come up to the porch and like the little mail flip or whatever, like the whatever you call it. Like, because our house was built in the early 1960s, so where you put the mail, like our mailman parks his car and does the whole loop and walks to all the houses and drops them off by hand.
So you got like a slot in your door?
Not in our front door, but it's a thing that's like on the side of the house.
Oh, okay.
It's a box, but it's not called a mailbox. I forget what they call it. And so he just does that. Like, this whole area is like that. So you would have to come up like right next to our front door if you're going to rip off our mail. And if you stole my mail, I'd be whatever. I mean, cool. What, are you going to pay my bills? I mean, the only thing I ever get in the mail anymore is sometimes, because most of my bills are not paper anymore. And then it's whatever random crap that people want to mail for advertisements and stuff.
True that.
Like, you're not going to get anything out of my mail that you were like, oh, hell yeah, I can't believe I got this. Sucks for you, guy, I guess. But it is interesting because, I thought about this when I was waiting tables and we were talking about the type of people that post weird shit on Nextdoor. I had a table one. This would happen every once in a while. We had a dish that was garlicky. It was made with garlic in it. And I would always tell people every time. They oh, that looks good. And I'm like, okay, well, just to let you know ahead of time, do you like garlic? Because that is a very garlicky dish. And so if you don't really like garlic, I got to be honest with you, you may not like this because it really is strong. And they go, oh, no, that's fine. And then you'd go, okay. And you'd bring it out to them and they take a couple of bites and go, hey, yeah, is it okay if I get something else? This is really garlicky. And you sit there and you're just like, I literally told you that it was really garlicky. And you said, yeah, that's great. And now you're telling me you don't like it. And you want me to bring you something else. Those are the people who are on Nextdoor. Time once again, as we do each and every week, to check in with our ESPN NFL Nation Cowboys Insider, brought to you by our friends at BlueStarMotorGroup.com. Todd Archer joining us here. And Todd, a lot to discuss with you. But before we get into what we saw in the Super Bowl, Jacques and I talked about this a little bit earlier. What did you make of the video, which some people thought slighted Dak Prescott, the hype video the Cowboys put out, and somehow, some way, Dak Prescott not featured in it at all?
I guess we're looking for contrived storylines to say, oh, here we go. Stephen and Jerry told their internet department, don't put Dak in that thing. I mean, I refuse to believe that there was any kind of conspiracy behind that. But this is the age we live in where conspiracy theories seem to move all the way up the food chain into the federal government. So, if this is going to be something that gets him upset, then you don't want to be here anyway. So move on. Like I will take this as what the Cowboys, our good friend Derek Eagleton said, is like it was just a mistake, a simple mistake. It wasn't anything nefarious behind it. So that's maybe I'm being Pollyanna when it gets to all this stuff, but that's my deal on it. And if Dak is would be that upset by some hype video made up by some dude that he wouldn't even know inside the Cowboys.com department, then he doesn't want to be here anyway.
You sound exasperated with this whole situation already.
That's kind of how I felt. I was like,
well, it's 3 years running now. Like, well, geez. And it's the same stuff. Pay the man. Well, they're trying to pay the man. They've offered the guy like $89 million in the first 2 years of his contract last year, and he chose to sit. And look, I'm not taking the Cowboys side on this thing. They should have and could have, and I'll say it again, should have done more to get this thing done so you're not even in this situation. It's just tiring. After the 2018 season, we dealt with this. After the 2019 season, we dealt with it. Now we're going after 2020, and we're dealing with it all again. It's just like, make a decision and move on. And now it's like, well, okay, if they tag him again, could they really tag him a third straight time? So we're going to have to deal with this for a fourth straight offseason if they don't get a deal done? Come on. That's why, all these stories, like, there's no progress being made on a Dak Prescott contract with the Cowboys. The next story I want to read is Dak is close to signing or the Cowboys are going to move on from Dak. That's it. There's no more like they're not close, not close. You know when they are close? When they're close. Like, they're not even really talking right now. So how can they be close on something that they've not really talked about?
Fair enough.
Now you get me exasperated. Thanks, guys.
No, that's kind of where we were at with that whole thing. So let's take a look at the Super Bowl, in which I think most people, not stunned or anything that Tampa Bay was able to figure this out, but in the fashion in which they won the game and in such a defensively dominant performance surprised us. How did you see that?
It surprised me, but then by the end of the week, when you start to really put together the Chiefs don't have their offensive tackles, and Lord knows what happens when an offense doesn't have its starting tackles. The Cowboys were kind of a joke there for the first however many games after Dak got hurt offensively. Then I'm like, well, geez, they're going to do to the Giants, to what Brady happened to him when he played the Giants, they're going to do that to Mahomes. And that's really what they did. And Todd Bowles, Jock's good buddy, our former Cowboy assistant that we all know quite well, he did a masterful job in that game and coming up with that game plan and mixing things up and the coverage that he threw behind. But really, it was the front four of those guys with the front five of the Chiefs. And for all the talk of, Tyreek Hill this and Nicole Hardman that, and Alaire Edwards and Edwards-Alaire and all Mahomes, blah, blah, blah. It still came down to the guys up front not being able to block the guys on the other side of the line. And that was the huge difference. I thought Mahomes was great. You look at his numbers, you're like, how could you say he played great? He ran for 500 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
That's true.
I got to tell you, man, that's one of the disappointing things I read in the coverage and heard in the coverage the following day. People who I think know the game, just taking shots at Mahomes like he played bad and he was terrible and he got blown out and he didn't. I was like, did you people really watch the game? No quarterback in the NFL, none, is going to be able to do anything when your offensive line can't protect you for a couple seconds. I mean, every play.
It wasn't even a couple seconds. It was a second.
Yeah.
It's really like a high school game, man, where you can't block the other team in front of you. You take the snap and immediately start running backward because you know they're coming after you. And so I thought Mahomes did about as good as he could do. And if his guys had made some plays for him on a couple of those incredible throws he somehow managed to get off, then the game might have been different. But I didn't see how you put any of that blame on Mahomes.
Well, and then you can move to once you figure out you can't block them with your five, can you leave an extra guy in to help protect a little bit more? Now that takes Kelsey out of it or takes the receiver off the field, and because you got to put an extra tight end or do something, or go to a quick game and get the ball out of his hand somehow, some way. I think Bowles completely outcoached Reed and Eric Bieniemy in that one in terms of, and they never adjusted to whatever Tampa Bay made in their adjustment from their game that they played in when did they play? Week 12?
Yes.
Week 12?
Sometime,
I think, or later
12,
on in the season. Again, kudos to Todd, but I think you got to look at the coaching staff and say, where was your adjustment? Because you knew fairly early on that they couldn't block them. And look, for all that running around Mahomes did, and these would be considered tough drops probably, but Tyreek Hill first drive, that was a touchdown catch that he should have had. 11, Robinson probably dropped a touchdown catch in the fourth quarter, I think. And then the running back on the fourth down hit him in the face mask. Like, those are plays they made all year probably for this guy. And I'm not saying the outcome would have been different because you never know what would have happened along the way. But, you for those who want to blame Mahomes for playing poorly, I don't know. You need to look somewhere else in my mind.
Yeah, I agree because, like you said, running for all those yards behind the line of scrimmage, I don't know that, maybe Lamar Jackson has that type of ability to run around like that without getting hit. But there's only a couple of quarterbacks in the NFL that could have even still been standing to make some of those throws.
Well, and then even when he's not even standing, he makes the throw parallel to the ground.
That was insane.
That was a short stop, double play turn where the guy is coming in headhunting on the fly, and he was able to make that throw down the field. I mean, that throw was ridiculous. How good that just to get the ball off. But yeah, and even look, I thought in the start of the second half, it looked like the Chiefs said, "Okay, we got a numbers game here. We're going to run the ball." Well, then you played into the Bucs' hands, become like, "Cool, we want you to run the ball. Like, just go ahead and do that. We got the lead. We're up. You want to run the ball? Go ahead." And even that effectively didn't work quite well for the Chiefs because all that did was waste time off the clock and cost you ultimately a possession or two if you were the Chiefs trying to get back in the game.
Do you think that Brady at this point has put this thing just so far out of reach? I mean, obviously, who knows a million years from now if somebody's going to win 7 again, but the NFL's not designed for somebody to win 7 championships like he's done.
It's out of reach until someone gets to 6. And we don't need to have anybody talking about he's the GOAT until somebody gets to 6. And then you could tie Tom Brady to get to 7. Like, just stop it. Like, we don't need to do this anymore. We're like, well, is he the GOAT or is he the GOAT? No, he's the GOAT. Like, there is no more debate. And there's no reason to bring up these contrived. We started talking about the Dak deal being a contrived argument. This is now a contrived argument. No, there is no one else in the conversation. He is now chasing Bill Russell at 11, right? I mean, he's past Jordan. He's now on to Bill Russell, who has 11 of these things. Can he get to 11? I don't think so. Because he'd have to be pushing 50 by then.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm going to say no, he's not getting there. But there can be no more doubting that this guy is the greatest of all time. I don't know the argument that you can make unless someone gets to 6. Like if Mahomes wins 3, it's a Hall of Fame career. It's a great career. He's not the greatest of all time.
Right.
Like it's just not. So we can put that storyline to bed, right?
I would think so. I mean, blatantly obvious.
We won't. Right?
I agree with you. I mean, he's on a level that, he is so far beyond every other level that we've ever seen that, like you were saying, I mean, 4 Super Bowls in a career. It's not like that's Bradshaw and Montana and Brady as quarterbacks. And Mahomes can get 4 Super Bowls, and you're still not even. I mean, you're like halfway up Everest. Like cool, you got halfway up Everest. That's awesome, man. Like that's really, really
still
good.
In the Hall of Fame,
right?
Okay.
Great climb, but you're not on the mountaintop.
Right?
Nah, dude, it's gonna be. I mean, I think it's. This is just me. Nah, I think it's pretty much like Emmitt's 18,355. I mean, I don't think anybody's catching that thing.
I don't think anybody's catching that one either.
Anytime soon, because what puts these records out there, and it's the same reason why Hank Aaron's record was out there until steroids came along, is its longevity, which most people don't have because, the average NFL career is, 3 years or 2.5 or whatever it is. It's longevity and it's consistent greatness. I mean, it's like Hank Aaron never hit 50 homers, but he hit 40 every year. And so it's not that Emmitt had 2,000 yards. He just had 1,200 every year. And so, when you add the longevity to the consistent greatness, it just puts it out there where you can't get it. And Brady, dude, I mean, if you think about winning 7, and again, we're going back to the conversation we had before where his contemporaries that were great quarterbacks, Breeze and Rodgers only got to 1.
Other one, the first one, Peyton Manning, he just got selected for enshrinement for the Hall of Fame. His first rival has now been out of the game 5 years, and this guy's still winning Super Bowl.
And Peyton won what, 2?
Yeah,
he won 2. Yeah.
Roethlisberger 2, Russell Wilson 1. These are all the great quarterbacks, all his contemporaries, and they're either already out the game or they've just got 1 or 2 appearances or wins, and this dude's at 7. And these are guys. Go ahead.
No, I want to bring up the Cowboys topic before we go. You ready?
Yes.
I was watching the game, and I'm thinking to myself, this is as far away from a Super Bowl as any Cowboys team that I've ever covered feels. Not because of what I was seeing on the field to say, man, there's no way they could compete with these guys in some respects, but just everything involved with this team. Not having Dak under a long-term contract, salary cap crunch. The defense needs about 52 pieces to become a top half unit. The coaching, where things stand, all that stuff. I don't, and our ESPN Power Rankings had them at 19, and entering this season. How we do this, who the heck knows? But it's something we do at ESPN. I don't feel like these guys are close at all to a Super Bowl. Am I wrong? Their only saving grace is they play in the worst division in football, where the other teams in that power rankings were like 21, 25, and 26 or whatever they were. That's their only saving grace. That they'll have a chance. They'll get in the tournament, but is getting in the tournament give you a legitimate chance to actually win this thing? I just don't. I don't see it, barring just unforeseen luck and good fortune.
Nah, I mean they're just. They don't have any history, and there's nothing to point to you right now to make you think that that's going to change anytime soon. So,
and why haven't I felt this way before? Because it's been 25 years, and I think I could always tell, well, in 2004, Parcells always got to the Super Bowl in his second year with the team that he's coached. Okay, yeah, it didn't matter that Vinny was the quarterback. I could still kind of see a path forward, and they were coming off a playoff season. 07, the best team in the NFC. Well, okay, 08 and 09, yeah, those teams still compete. And then 2010, in 2009, hey, this was like the Cowboys in 91. They beat the They won a playoff game, and then the next year was when they finally took off. The Cowboys go 6-10. I just you could always sell something, and during this run and the years I've covered this team, and I just don't know what you sell right now to say the Cowboys will be a legitimate Super Bowl contender in 2021.
Nothing.
There's your pull-out quote right there.
Yeah, thank you for that. You nailed that one.
No, I mean, they are
agree.
a long way away, man. They got so many holes and so many questions, and it's that same old thing. If you've got 5 questions, fans tend to think that, oh, we got 5 questions. Here are the 5 answers. They'll all be correct.
Right?
And the reality is, we got 5 questions. We got 5 answers. The reality is 2 or 3 will probably be correct.
Mm-hmm.
But like last year.
And there'll be 2 or 3 other questions you didn't even think of. They're going to come up that they're going to have to answer the right way.
But, you know, the flip side of that is, and we saw a good example last year. If you just take it on face value, which is, hey, we got 4 or 5 questions on defense. We filled those spots with these players in free agency. Realistically, 2 or 3 will miss and 2 or 3 will hit. And the reality is all of them miss. And so now you're like, oh, my God, we didn't get better at all.
Their best
that's
free agent signing last year was who? Blake Bell? I know I'm missing somebody, but who would have – obviously McCoy got hurt. Poe could not play. Clinton Dix make the team.
They traded Griffin.
Darryl Worley was terrible. They traded Griffin. Alden Smith was probably their best free agent signing in the last half of it. And I looked this up. Alden Smith, who hadn't played football since 2015, played the 5th or 4th most snaps on defense. Why was he playing so much?
Yeah,
because nobody else was.
And he
any
ran out
good.
of gas.
Maybe Greg Zuerlein.
Okay.
I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
I know the kicker, but still, I mean,
right? Yeah, Zuerlein. That's a good one. I'll give you that one. But again, if the kicker's your best free agent signing, you better be a Super Bowl team.
I mean, No, I think to your point, it's interesting because you look at, and to me, it wasn't just a Super Bowl, but when you watch like the final few teams, like each conference championship, and I kind of look at that and I say, okay, I like Dak a lot. I think he's top 10 quarterback. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not Pat Mahomes. I think everybody would say, oh yeah, obviously. Okay, well, those guys can do certain things to take their teams to certain levels. The offense that the Chiefs run, and the Cowboys have weapons, but somehow it feels like the Chiefs, or at least they figured out how to use theirs better. But to your point, I mean, watching Tampa, the Cowboys don't have, I don't know who they have, and I'm sure there's somebody, maybe Tank, outside of Tank that would start on that Tampa defense.
Yeah. I mean, there's no one on the back end.
Right.
Sure.
And all those Tampa.
Neither the linebackers, no.
No, and up front,
Marcus Lawrence.
Right, and all those guys on Tampa, for the most part, I mean, it depends on Barrett coming back or not if they sign him. If they sign him, they've got like 7 of their main dudes on defense are 27 or younger. Hell, Devin White's 22, and I look at that and I go, man, all those guys are there for the next few years. That is a nasty defense. And then you watch the Cowboys play defense, and you're like, well, I mean, it's cool if your quarterback doesn't turn it over and you've got some fun weapons to play with, but when you need a defense to do some things, you kind of believe in these guys. And with the Cowboys, I just go, man, they are so far away from even being near what Tampa's doing. And Tampa was not, during the season, obviously they needed to figure it out, but they were only like the 6th or 7th best defense in the NFL throughout the course of the regular year.
And here's the deal. We're not asking – the Cowboys don't need to be the 85 Bears to get to a Super Bowl. They didn't need it, right? I mean, they just need to not have the worst rushing defense in the NFL and in team history and allow the most points. And like, if the Cowboys just had a Marinelli-level defense, they probably would have won the division last year. You know what I mean? But they were just beyond that. So, but again, what good would that have done them to okay, yeah, you made the tournament. Now you have the 19th pick or the 20th, wherever Washington's picking. That wouldn't have got them better. And now they're in the top 10 in a year where they need defensive help.
Right.
And there's no great stud defensive tackle. There's no high-end pass rushers. You're really looking at 2 cornerbacks that you have to hope that the first 8, 9 picks of the draft are offensive players to get either Farley or Surtain. So that's, like if every mock draft I'll do will have them, if he's available, I'm going to take Patrick Surtain Jr. Like,
Right.
just because.
Oh, yeah. Every
I'm not
time.
taking Micah Parsons. They don't need to take a linebacker at number 10. And there's not a pass rusher that's going to be worth it. There's not a defensive tackle going to be worth it. And I'm just not going to take an offensive tackle because that's not going to get you better in 2021, right? I mean, Tyron Smith, he's going to miss 3-4 games, but if you got to play Terrence Steele or Brandon Knight for 3 or 4 games, you better be able to still win a couple of games without Tyron Smith. Now, if you got to lose both tackles, well, we saw what happened to the Cowboys last season. You're going to be in a big world of hurt anyway. But
Right.
I don't know. I just don't. And I'm, if whatever version of CeeDee Lamb falls to the Cowboys at 10 this year, I still might take a defensive player unless it's a quarterback. And again, but then you have to ask the question, well, how does that get you better in 2021? All you're doing is setting up quarterback controversy and opening the door to Dak's exit, perhaps necessarily because of how you handled the whole contract negotiation going forward or going backwards the whole time.
Right.
So you put yourself in a position where, like, you can make the case the Cowboys should take a quarterback because they won't have one in 2022 if they have to tag Dak again.
Very true. Todd Archer, as always, man, thanks for the time. We appreciate it.
You got it, guys. Thanks.
All right, see you.
All right, bro.
See you guys.
And, of course, Todd Archer, as always, brought to you by Blue Star Motor Group. Check them out, bluestarmotorgroup.com. You can give Deb a call, as we told you earlier, at 817-881-4066. Superior quality, Carfax certified pre-owned vehicles of all makes and models. bluestarmotorgroup.com. Also, RX3 Resources, keep those guys in mind. If you're trying to figure out what your oil and gas minerals are really worth, I don't have any idea. That's why things like RX3 Resources exist. If you want a fair and true evaluation, give our friends at RX3 Resources a call. They've got a highly qualified team. They'll help you out using that latest appraisal data and ensure your selling process is quick and simple. So give them a call. Find out. Pick their brain. 214-708-9111. That's RX3 Resources. 214-708-9111. But moving forward here, this is going to be an interesting conversation because both of us came across this in a weird way. And I think we both were like, wait, what? What do you mean? And it's this thing with Tom Brady. He wins 7. In some form, I can somewhat understand it because in your mind, 43, about to be 44 coming up this August. You just won 7. You're on top of the mountain. Why not walk off into the sunset, into glory? You've just written, the credits have rolled at the end of the movie, but as we know, life is not always a movie. And this whole idea, because you and I have heard it from various different people, the question, why doesn't Tom Brady retire?
Well, I heard it yesterday from one of my good friends. She works at the Morning News. Matter of fact, I told her, I said, you know what? You've just made the Jam Session podcast. She put on, and she started her post on Facebook yesterday. And normally I pass on these, Matt, but she said, I'll start the debate. I think Brady should retire. He's proven it wasn't just the Patriots system that made him successful. He's shown the bosses that cast him aside that he's still great. There's nothing left but to go out on top and enjoy the new home and fam on Miami Beach. And I thought to myself, and I asked her this question, why? I mean, literally, I just said, why? And somebody else said he should just play as long as he wants, as long as he can still produce. And she was like, no. And
why no? What?
You know, my whole thing was, and she was like, it's just time to retire. And I'm like,
why?
Well, you know, some of it she gets into, like, you know, injuries and this and that. But I'm just like, people spend, think about, okay, check this out, you guys. Think about all the people you know. All the people you know. Family, your good friends, your significant others' friends that you all hang around. And just ask yourself, how many of those people are truly passionate about their work? And the answer is typically way less than 50%.
Mm-hmm.
Most people just have a job. Most people yearn to retire because they can't stand their job. Now, this person who I was having this conversation with, she has a fantastic job. I mean, she's at the top of her profession. And I'm just like, you should just never retire. Like, I was like, my dad, he gets mad when I mention his age for this very reason, Matt. He's 77. Mm-hmm. He's in great shape, works out 2 or 3 times a week, teaches a PhD class. And I've always told people he'll die in the office, home or work, because this is what he loves to do. This is his purpose. Researching stuff, writing papers, being an activist on campus, being a rebel rouser. That's what he does. So if you were to tell him at your age, Professor Taylor, you've accomplished all these great things, you need to go home and retire. Man, he'd probably be dead in a year and a half because he's got no purpose. He's got nothing to do.
See, I understand that because obviously I've been passionate about radio and doing now the podcast, but this format of what I do, that I've had friends before that and there's nothing wrong with this. I mean, I've got a couple of buddies that want to retire at that 65 age and just be done and do whatever. And I always think, I mean, but what are you going to do? Like, I feel I enjoy doing this so much that I've told people many times, I mean, ultimately, if I'm not going to die in my sleep, I would like to die live on the air at the age of 90, whatever, doing a radio show. I mean, seriously, because that's how much I enjoy doing this, to the point, and I've always said this, and this is true. Now that I know I can do the podcast anywhere, it'd probably be, my answer would be slightly different. But it used to be, okay, so if you won the Powerball and you won $100 million overnight, would you keep showing up to the radio station? There's no way. I'm like, yes, I would, because that's what fulfills me. That's what I enjoy doing. Now it would be different. I would still do the podcast, but I might do it from
South France.
Right. I was going to say some random Caribbean beach or wherever I may be, and it gives you a little bit more of the freedom. But I would still do this because I love doing this.
Yeah, and I think that's the part that she missed. I've talked to obviously thousands of athletes over the years. I've been covering sports. Every professional athlete I've ever spoken to who's retired, because most people don't get to choose when they retire. The team tells you you're not good enough anymore. You need to go. Or they go, I'm a shell of what I used to be. It's time for me to stop playing. That's the typical route to leave the game. Very few people get to pick when they leave.
Right.
But here's the deal, bro. Most athletes, when they leave, I heard Emmitt Smith talking about it literally a week or two ago. They go, I don't necessarily miss Sundays. I miss all the stuff in between Sundays. I miss hanging out with my boys. I miss the locker room. I miss all this interaction with all these guys. It's like being around your friends every day. It's not just playing the game.
No doubt, man.
It's all the ancillary stuff. And see, I was thinking about it last night because my dude went to pick up my granddaughter from volleyball practice. The beauty of having your teenager drive these days. And I took a break from what I was doing, and I wouldn't play the video game. And I heard all this noise in my game room that I couldn't really figure out where it was coming from, but I was trying to play before he got back. And he got back, and I said, what's all this noise, man? He goes, it's a party. I go, what are you talking about? It's a party. He goes, well, I was playing Call of Duty, and all of us were on the party line, and as soon as you stop playing this game, I'm going to get back on it, and we'll finish. And these are all his teammates at DeSoto, man. And so if you think about it in that sense, if he were to go to another school, say, it's not the same because all the stuff we're laughing about while we're playing at practice, you don't know nothing about because you were at Red Oak. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we're talking about Coach acted the fool today, but you don't know anything about it because you were at another practice. Mm-hmm. And so it's the same thing, man. It's all that you miss if you're not there. And I think athletes are reluctant to give that up. Think about it, man. Tom Brady been in the locker room, we know for a fact, since the 9th grade, 13 years old. That's 30 years of locker rooms, man.
Yeah.
If you don't have to give that up, you're not going to give it up.
Yeah, why would you? And that's the thing.
Fun.
And I think anybody, and I've discovered this, anybody who is, as you approach the age of 40 and you start to get over 40, yes, your body, you start to realize, because mentally, there are things that I would go out and do right now, but my body no longer can do it. And that's what is so mind-boggling to me. And so this is a good example of this. Now, partially is because, and I've talked about this before, I have a little bit of a blood disorder where I've been on blood thinners for forever. I mean, I've been on blood thinners for a long time. So when you're on blood thinners, you have to be cautious about certain things. Now, it's not like it affects my daily life. But for instance, I held on to my hockey gear for a long time because I was like, well, maybe one day I'll go play pickup hockey again. And I just couldn't let go of the idea I'm not supposed to anymore. And not because, because somebody could cut you with the skate. No, because the physical contact, and this is something like with Chris Bosh in the NBA, for instance, the danger becomes like if you get hit or run over or grown men fall on you, the danger becomes the bleeding that you can't see when you're on blood thinners. And so, for instance, last weekend, right before the Super Bowl, I was out in the backyard throwing the ball with my son. We like to pretend that we're playing a game against each other, and it's just, we're not tackling or anything. But man, I slipped, and I'm 6'3", 200 pounds, and I slipped and fell I had no expectation that I was going to fall in the backyard or anything, and I landed right on my side, my full weight. And I'll tell you, I mean, I just laid there for a second. I was like, oh, my God, like, holy hell. I knocked the wind out of myself. But then my brain immediately goes, like, I hope that I didn't jar something, because that's how I think now. And so to see somebody like Tom Brady, and granted, it's different. I mean, he's conditioning his body for this. And, both you and I work out regularly, and I feel like we're both in very good shape and in very good condition. But to be able to do some of the things that he is doing at the level he's doing it at, he is showing that what you once thought, because again, look, Peyton Manning retired when he was 40 or whatever, and Drew Brees is walking away from the game, and all these guys, you're not supposed to be able to do what he's doing at 43, 44 years old. And I think it's a real testament to him saying, look, you have to have unbelievable discipline, not only in the way that you prepare your body and how you eat and the way you work out and getting your sleep, but you have to have an understanding from your family that allows you to be that disciplined.
Dude, that's a mouthful right there, bro.
And it is. And he is showing that it is achievable on a certain level that, quite honestly, I don't know how many people, even great athletes and players, at some point, that spark starts to fade, and somehow for Tom Brady, even at that age, it hasn't. And that is, more than anything, that's what boggles my mind, that he hasn't gotten tired of what it takes for him to be able to perform at that level at his age.
That's funny you say that, because the last thing I told her was something to the effect of, as long as you prepare and you're willing to prepare and do all that it takes to get your body in that condition to play, and your body responds, then play. Like, and here's the difference. Drew Brees can no longer play. Like, I'm talking like his arm is not at a point where he can successfully play at the highest level. Now, he can fake it because he's so smart, and he can cheat the system and do all these things to hide it. But at the elite of elite levels, it's time for him to retire because his body won't let him do it. Now, here's the interesting one to me. Aaron Rodgers ain't showed no sign of slowing down.
I agree, yeah.
And if he wants to continue to play and prepare and get ready, I could certainly see Aaron Rodgers playing into his 40s. And here's the last thing about that, Matt. What's the other thing Tom Brady's doing? He's absolutely, positively smashing the glass ceiling.
Easily, yes. Showing, look, if you do this, you can achieve this.
And so now, what will happen? Others will do it because they go, so if I want to eat avocado ice cream, I want to drink 200 gallons of water a day, I want to do Pilates,
right?
Then I, too, can play at a high level until I'm 44. Okay, I want to eat avocado ice cream. I want to drink 200 gallons of water a day.
Sure.
And I want to do Pilates. That's me. I want to do that because I want to play till I'm 45 like Brady. And so a handful of people who have the skill set to start with will have that mindset. They'll see that Brady has done it, and they'll do it.
Yeah, and the one thing about Aaron Rodgers that I think shows that he can keep going, it's different because all the other guys that we've been talking, even Tom Brady, but his kids are younger. Aaron Rodgers has no kids. He has no wife. Yeah, he dates celebrities and whatnot, but he is solely, all he has to do in his life that he is responsible for is being an NFL quarterback.
He just got engaged this weekend.
We'll see. But I do think, because we've heard, we heard like Phillip Rivers talk like this, although, I mean, look, Phillip Rivers has like 400 kids. And it's one of those things like forever, whatever reason, we've heard some quarterbacks talk about this in the past. Like, well, I want to coach my kid when he gets to high school. Or, once my son keeps playing football at the high school level, I want to be able to go and watch him and things like that. And until they get to a certain age, I can see that. But I'll be curious. The only other mind-boggling stat I will leave you guys with on this Tom Brady conversation, and we talked about this on our last podcast about how much he has achieved after the age of like 37, 38. Joe Montana has 16 playoff wins. He is second most behind Brady all time with 16 playoff wins. Joe Montana retired at the age of 38. Tom Brady has 16 playoff wins since he turned 37. So when you think about that, Tom Brady has as many playoff wins since he turned 37, basically as Joe Montana had in his entire career.
Wow.
And so with that, we will move forth. And of course, remind you, look, just like how Tom Brady kind of plans and preps himself and his body and his mind to do all the things that he needs to do, I would encourage you to take up Lauren Latting. Our Edward Jones financial advisor, Lauren Lattig, she is the same thing for your finances. If you are trying to put your finances in that level, have everything organized, have them structured. So as you age, you're ready for retirement, if that's what you choose to do. Or if you're not going to retire, you've invested in things so that you can take great vacations, whatever it is, as you get older, what you are planning for, Lauren Lattig can make sure that your finances are in that peak shape, man, ready to go. She will make sure that you don't get derailed, that your long-term financial strategy is sound. So give her a call, 972-563-1417. 972-563-1417. 401k rollovers, stocks and bonds, whatever it may be, Lauren Lattig is your girl. So give her a call, 972-563-1417. Also, of course, our buddies at Freeway Tire Shop. Easy to get to in Dallas, right there off of 35. JR and the crew at Freeway Tire Shop. They take care of the Jam Session audience. We've told you this before, but make sure you let them know that you are a Jam Session podcast listener, and they will give you that discount on up to $500, your first $500. And they have the customer service on a level where I was trying to think of an analogy for this, but really the best way to tell you is that several of you have reached out to tell us, much like the wings from Kroger and how people send us pictures, people will go, man, you weren't kidding. Like JR and those guys, like he personally serviced my car and God, they were great. And they took really great care of me. Multiple people have done that. So it's not just us that are telling you this. JR and his guys are elite customer service representatives.
No, and that's the best evidence that, what we're telling you is true. Who is it? Purple Elephant went by there the other day.
That's right, yeah.
You'll see him on Twitter and got some tires and raved about the service and the deal. I'm telling y'all, when we tell you people take care of Jam Session customers, we ain't just making it up. Yeah. They really do take care of it because we got a personal relationship with all the sponsors that we deal with. It's not just business, it's personal. We're friends. We take our cars there. You take your car there. They'll take care of you, kind of like family.
Yeah, they will. So whether you're looking for tires like you talked about, or it could be something like an oil change or a state inspection, general mechanic work, they'll get you taken care of. So check them out. You can make an appointment, request a quote online at freewaytireshop.com. Also, of course, Aaron and his guys over at HFX Foundation Solutions. This is another thing. Man, Tom Brady, you can use him as an analogy for basically anything. Like Tom Brady listens to his body and has said, as I've aged, I realize how important sleep is and I need to listen to my body and do that. Listen to your house. Is your house telling you, hey, I've got cracks? Guess what? Yes, this floor is sloped. That could be your house telling you you have a foundation problem. Oh, what do I do? Oh, HFX Foundation Solutions. Hello. A full-service foundation repair company that services all of DFW. They specialize in slab, pier, and beam foundation repair. They can also take care of your drainage and gutter installations. I know as we are about to approach the spring season, and it's going to rain, as we all know, in the spring more than it ever does, you want to make sure that your drainage and your gutters are tip-top shape, so they can help you with that as well. Give them a call, 817-770-0174. Free inspection. Free inspection. And I think that's key because, again, and we've told you about this, they'll come out, and if you don't have a problem, they'll tell you, okay, hey, we see these cracks, we see what you're talking about, but you're fine. You don't have to worry about anything right now. And that'll give you some peace of mind. Or maybe you do, and they can take care of it, and they'll be there with you throughout the whole process and explain it through you. A-rated with the Better Business Bureau, and you can check them out online at hfxfoundation.com. But one more quick conversation to have here. And I thought this was interesting because we talked about this briefly the other day while we were on the ticket, which looks like we're going to be on the ticket a little bit more, where we will be on the ticket a little bit more coming up from noon to 3 on Sundays. I think will be our normal slot.
Did you get an email?
I didn't get an email, but I would just assume with the Stars don't have any Sunday games coming up for like a month, and there's no football or anything, so I don't know.
Right.
I would assume that we're on noon to 3.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
Right.
Sure.
And so we were on last weekend, and we had this random conversation about ramen noodles. And this morning you were telling a story about ramen noodles. And when we were having this whole thing, it blew your mind because you didn't realize there's like gourmet ramen noodle restaurants.
No, can't say that I knew that there was gourmet ramen, and I was calling them ramen noodles, and I was severely chastised.
Yeah, they're ramen.
I mean, it's not like it's a pronunciation thing on there. And people say GIF and GIF, they can't get that right. So, that's, All
right, fair enough. But now you know.
Yeah, I know. So, it's just like your mama used to say, when you know better, you do better.
Right.
So, check this out, dog. So, I noticed this yesterday. I walked in the kitchen to do something, and I saw a bowl of ramen noodles, full bowl, sitting in the sink. So, my instant thought, who the hell is wasting food? All right? I don't care if it costs 25 cents a pack. Who the hell is wasting food? So, I'm sitting down a couple hours later with my daughter, my granddaughter, the lovely Lorraine. We're all talking about this or that. And all of a sudden, my daughter says, hey, did E like those noodles? And the lovely Lorraine goes, nope. He took a smell of them and said, these aren't ramen noodles. I don't want them. And I said, what are y'all talking about? She goes, and my daughter goes, yeah, those aren't the right ramen noodles. I go, I got them at Sam's. They were like 25 for $5. What do you mean they're not the right ones? And she told me, no, that's a different brand. And so I went and looked, and they were not ramen noodles. They were some other brand. And I said, are you trying to tell me this boy who's 5 years old can tell the difference between ramen noodles and whatever the lower brand is? And she goes, yep. And I then proceeded to tell him the conversation we had about, as a matter of fact, I said, Matt told me there's some place that makes gourmet ramen noodles. And my granddaughter pops up, oh, yeah, I've been to, she rattled off like a couple of them. Oh, they're really good. I'm like, what is wrong with y'all? Ramen noodles, you put some boiling water in them, you throw the pack in them, you swirl them up, and that's it. And she goes, no, there's a lot more to it than that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you because when I first found out about this, I also felt, I was like, wait, hold on a second. You mean the crap I used to eat in college when we didn't feel like paying for anything and they made restaurants out of this? And then you go to these places and you're like, holy hell. I mean, it is on a completely different level. It's like gourmet artisan noodles and the different sauces and spices they use, and it is fantastic.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it is. There's a couple of them. There was one in Oak Cliff. I don't know if it's still there. And then there was one over by where we used to live in the Trinity Groves, like Sylvan area, that you would walk in, and it was really very interesting because it was a very, very small place. Like there were no tables. Like you couldn't sit down. You would order it, and then they would hand it to you, and you felt like you were in a different world just with the setup of it, and everybody standing like at the counter eating. It was really interesting, but it was actually really, really good.
You know, every time we talk about stuff like that, it makes me want to go check it out. Like Ten Ramen is in Dallas, Ichiro Ramen Shop and Ninja Ramen.
Yeah, I think 10. I think that's where I've been.
It's supposed to be a 5-star ramen noodle spot.
Yeah.
But it's just amazing to me, bro. And so I was like, okay, maybe I need to go to the best spot.
Yeah, 10 Ramen off of Sylvan. That's where we went. Yeah, that's what I thought.
And then see what I've been missing, because clearly there's something different. Did you know ramens were invented in 1960?
I had no idea. I did not.
from the Chinese word that means literally pool noodle.
Maybe I'll make a trivia question out of that. What is the Chinese word for pulled noodle?
There you go. I'm always willing to help.
That's kind of strange. I wonder how many of us have experienced a ramen before.
Well, there's also, I mean, I just Googled this obviously, but there's a Yelp thing that says 10 best ramen noodles in Dallas.
Well, there you go.
So, if there's 10 places, there's probably the 10 best. That means there's probably 20 or 30 places that are doing it.
Oh, easily. They're all over the place. They're usually, at least a couple of that I've been to, they're not very big. They're small, and they're worth it. I mean, it's worth checking out. They're good. I tend to prefer like legit Thai food or something a little bit more than the ramen places, because it's almost like a soup,
Right.
And I'm looking for a little bit more, but they are very tasty, and 10 Ramen's fantastic. That's the one that I was talking about that was right over there by where we used to live. But yeah, the ramen noodle explosion. And I don't know, I guess when you have it in your mind, like once you have it and you're like, wow, this is nothing like I ate in college for 10 cents a pack, then it's obviously completely different.
Right.
But we shall see.
Have to get past that mindset. Yeah.
I might use that as a trivia question. I think I will. I got to make a note of that because, again, I got 2 chances of trivia this week. You can find me at Odd Muse Brewing in Farmers Branch on Wednesday at 7 o'clock. And then on Thursday, I'll be at False Idol Brewing in North Richland Hills, hosting trivia, 7 o'clock, both places. General knowledge with the chance to win every round. You can win some free beer and have a good time if you enjoy playing trivia. So make plans to come on out and check that out. Thanks for listening, man. We appreciate it, for being fans of the Jam Session podcast. Make sure you find us on Instagram at Jam Session Cast. And of course, on Twitter, as I mentioned, at McMatt Radio, at JJT_journalist. Thanks to Purple Elephant Music for the music you hear at the end and beginning of each episode. He is the radio and TV star, the sexy Jean-Jacques Taylor. And I'm just a guy, Matt McLaren. Subscribe, rate, and review. Tell your friends, and we'll catch you next time. Available everywhere you listen to podcasts.